All right, once we get a confirmation, if you guys can hear us out there in YouTube land, please let us know, and we'll get the party started here. Okay. So there's an ad running right now. Okay. So I just notified all my followers on. Okay. So notified. Okay. All right. So if you guys can hear us out there in YouTube land, let us know.
I don't see. Will people post questions also in the on the site, or?
Yeah, you'll have to check it out right here. Let me send it to you. Let me just send it to you on Twitter right here. Yeah, you have to mute it too so that it doesn't get feedback. Okay. Okay. All right. I think that it's good to go. Okay. Anjem from London says it's all working great. Thanks for joining me on the broadcast yesterday, Anjem, about the when to invest into the securities token or the company's shares, stock shares. Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Ty Zen. I'm broadcasting from Dallas, Texas, in the great country of Texas. We're surrounded by another great country called America. Okay, and in this episode today, guys, I have a very special guest on. His name is Marc Mesel. He's a veteran crypto investor. Has been in the space for a very long time. I've known of Marc Mesel since I think 2013, if I remember correctly, when we first started our channel. You know, because we were some of the earliest crypto investors who started talking about cryptocurrencies outside of Bitcoin. You know, when Marc and I first started, you know, it was taboo to talk about any cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin. And he and I were one of the first ones to talk about other ones. And the first one we talked a lot about was a project called NXT, because it was not a clone of Bitcoin. It had its own unique and original blockchain. It was not like a copycat like Purecoin or like Litecoin or Dogecoin or any of those back then. Okay, so say hello, Marc. Say hello. Say
hey, pleasure to be here with you. It's been a long time coming that we talk together on YouTube. I've been following. We started out as friends basically, and you were also interested in NXT, me too. And indeed, you're right. There were some people on YouTube talking about Bitcoin, but it was pretty small, very small.
Okay. Sure. I think we lost you a little bit there.
Yep.
When you said it was very small, you know. So I said I think we lost you there when you said it was a small community back then. So, but anyways, can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So in this episode, guys, I wanted to kind of get a background of how Marc, you know, what his background is, and then how he got into crypto, and then, you know, the mistakes that he made over the years in the last 5 years, and then, you know, some of the lessons he learned that he can share with our viewers, you know. So can you share a little bit about your background, Marc? You know, what was your background before you got into crypto?
Yeah, my background is from investing. Like, I was investing before crypto. Basically, I have full time already, and trying to make a living from it. And I was investing in gold and gold mining stocks, and some other stuff, passive investing. but it's only when I discovered crypto that it became a success for me. And even then, in the beginning, even though I had made a good investment in Bitcoin in the beginning, I made a lot of mistakes, so that it was not life changing, as you so famously say. And that's of course the point, that it is life changing. But I did make a lot of mistakes and had to learn a lot before I was investing, so that it did change my life, and that has only happened the past 2-3 years for me.
Yeah. So how did you first hear about Bitcoin? Because like a lot of people today, it's all over the media and everything, and it's very easy for new people to get in. Back then, it was not very easy to hear about Bitcoin, and it was very hard to even get a Bitcoin.
It's true. I heard several times on the Free Domain Radio show from Stefan Molyneux. I was very much into that at the time. That was a podcast series, and I really liked that. And it was also with listeners' questions, and I think I was listening from 2011, since 2010, and then 2011 and 2012. I heard it pop up a few times. But I rejected it, even though I was investing in gold, and I really knew a lot already about money and the monetary system. I was just rejecting it. So it was only after 2 years hearing it pop up a few times, started questioning my beliefs and if I was right or wrong. And I started to see that it might work, Bitcoin. Yeah.
Okay, so 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 you started getting, what year did you get into crypto? 2012, 2013, or when?
Yeah. 2012, November, December, when it was $10, and then it went to $13 in that month. And at the beginning of the year, it was $13 in 2013. And I was lucky with my timing in a way, of course, because it went immediately up to 255 the first few months, crashed to 50, was around 100, and then went to 1,000 at the end of the year. So I was very lucky with my timing. But on the other hand, I had been following Bitcoin, and I had seen it crash from $30 to $3 and then go back up to $10. And so for me also, I was very risk averse, and I saw that a couple of things were aligning very well. Like the story was still existing, Bitcoin was still alive, and also on the technical charts, the moving averages just crossed from the 50-day above the 200-day, and so it looked like it was possible that we had another bubble coming. So I also was my timing was half lucky, but also studied.
Okay.
And then I entered 10%. Well,
Okay, so you got into Bitcoins back in 2012 at the right time, and one thing that I appreciate about what you're saying is that you recognize that was luck. You recognize that, hey, I got lucky that I got in at the time, because there's a lot of traders and investors out there that they don't know the difference between luck and skill. I think that your skill was recognizing that this was going to be a huge financial innovation, right? But I think the luck is when you just happen to buy it at a time, $10 or whenever. You said you bought it around $10, your first Bitcoin?
$13, yeah.
Yeah, $13, and that was the fact that you recognize that was luck. There's a lot of people that do that, and they say, hey, they're skillful, but it's not really skillful because they're not able to replicate that again.
Well, actually, I don't agree, Ty. Okay. Like the fact that it worked out was partly serious luck, but me taking a position with my portfolio of 10% into Bitcoin at that time, there was no luck at all. Because
no. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is that your ability to recognize that this can be a game changer in the financial world was skill. Your ability to be aware that this can possibly change Wall Street, and the banking and the payments and all that. That to me is skill, to be able to recognize that this technology will be a game changer. But being able to come in at $13 to me, is I would consider that. I personally would consider that luck. I don't know if I'm conveying that clearly.
No, I don't agree with that because at $13 the climate was so different. Like many people that would not have dared to enter then, and today there are equal opportunities in other things, and yeah, there is. The people that do it, it's I don't think it's fair to say later that it's lucky. What the lucky part is that it works out. Like when I put my money down there, 10% of my portfolio risking in Bitcoin. Well, I knew that okay, I have a chance here that's going to tenfold, hundredfold. There is a chance for that, but there's also a much bigger chance that this thing fails.
Yeah.
And I lose all my money I put in. So, but it is worth taking that chance. So that's purely calculated. But the fact that it works out, that's partly lucky because for the same money, at that time, after I put my money in, there is a critical bug in Bitcoin, and there is somebody succeeds in creating more Bitcoins, and all my money is gone. So that could have happened the next day. Like that's the luck that the software did prove to be strong enough, and that indeed the story did find traction. That's the lucky thing. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, to clarify it, what I'm saying is luck. I'm not taking away your skill of recognizing a potential game changer in the financial technology. What I'm saying is that buying it at $13 when it's at the bottom, when it's near the bottom, that is what I'm referring to. Because if most traders cannot go back in and buy back in at $60 when it crashed back down at the bottom, like that's what I'm referring to. Timing the market is what I consider luck, even when we're doing it, right? But the skill of taking a portion of your portfolio and putting it. The reason why I'm bringing that up between the difference between skill and luck is so that our viewers will know that what it is that they can replicate and what they cannot replicate, or what they can replicate easily and what they cannot replicate. And there's a lot of times, when I was growing up, learning how to trade and invest in the markets and stuff, no one told me what was luck and what was actual skill. And I think that because you had the skill to recognize, precious metals, and you were an investor already, you have experience in that. So even if the blockchain boom is over, I believe that you still have the skill to recognize new technologies that come along and still be able to take advantage of it, even though the boom, the blockchain boom is over. I believe that whatever new technology that comes along, whether it's rockets to the moon, or whether it's lithium battery technology or solar or energy technology, I believe that you will be able to have an eye to recognize that. And that's where I say that's the skill. But as far as like timing it to where, hey, I'm going to get in at the bottom of the market or sell at the top, I think that that's not something that's easily replicated by our listeners.
Well, yes, but of course it's true. The Bitcoin opportunity of $10 that's gone. But the thing is, like I find the timing actually to be seriously underappreciated. Mm-hmm. Like to be early in a project is extremely difficult, extremely risky, mm-hmm. But these things you can still do today in other projects. But the thing about the lucky part is you're never sure it's gonna work out. There's so many things that can go wrong, and we saw it with NXT. At least for me, like I invested much more strong into that project later on after Bitcoin was a success. I said, okay, let's do this again now with another project, and that totally did not turn out as successful. Far from it. So a lot of things went wrong there, in my opinion, and that's of course a pity. And when your money is in and things go wrong, you lose money.
Yeah. So what would you say is your three? Well, let's just break it down so that our viewers can benefit from your experience here, Marc. What would you say was the top three biggest mistakes that you made since you got into crypto?
I think the top three is the first biggest mistake is investing too little, and I really like that you put a big that you really that you go all into crypto. I think that's really the right approach. Unless you see other bigger and better opportunities, but if not, then this is indeed an amazing one. So I only invested 10%, and I was too low. Of course, the perceived risk then was much higher than, and even people that strongly believed in a project, like lead developers, and everybody would say, don't put only what you are able to lose, only invest what you're willing to lose, and these kind of philosophies were shared by everybody, even the strongest believers. So there was no hodling then. There was there was no hodl philosophy.
let's take a look at this so that the audience understands why you put 10% of your portfolio into Bitcoin, and I put nearly 100%, nearly all my life savings into Bitcoin back then, right? So how did you view Bitcoin? Did you view it as something that, we got people like, Ken and full-time geek, Ken Bozak and full-time geek right now listening to us saying that, Bitcoin is going to kill the fiat and things like that.
The sound, they start with music here.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go a little bit further, okay?
Yeah, you want to use the headphones?
Oh, wait, headphones. Yeah. Let me put that in.
So while you're putting that on, I'm just gonna share with the audience. My main reason, guys, for putting nearly all my life savings into Bitcoin back in 2013 was because I was a trader. I was a stock trader, futures trader, forex trader back then. And, I still am today, but I was doing it very, very actively and full time every day back then. And I saw how long it took for my money to clear. So if I bought and sold Apple stocks from the time that I made money on it, if I made $100 profit on the Apple stocks that I traded, it would take me at least close to 2 weeks before I got the money to where I can use it to go and actually use the money. So there was a 2-week window there where it takes it's called T+3, which means trade plus 3 days. So it took 3 days to clear the transaction at the stockbroker's office, and then they would send it to the bank, and then it would take another 3 days to clear. And there was just all this bullshit clearing transaction time. And on average, it would take from the time I actually made the profit on the stock or the commodity or the forex currency pair, it would usually take close to 2 weeks. So when I saw Bitcoin and my business partner, LeonFu.com, the honorable grandmaster, the great oracle of crypto, when he started showing me how Bitcoin can clear in less than 10 minutes, right? I just loaded up on it back then. Back then in 2013, I loaded up everything that I could possibly, every bonus check I got, I put into Bitcoin. Every tax return I got, I put into Bitcoin. I was looking for stuff around my house that I didn't use. I would sell it so I can put the extra money into Bitcoin, because I had never seen a financial technology that cleared and settled so fast and so cheap. Because I saw somebody send like $150 million across the Bitcoin network for 5 cents. For 5 cents, and here I am. I was sending $300 to my brother in prison, and it would cost like $10 to buy a money order, and like a Western Union or MoneyGram or something like that. It would cost $10 just to send $300. And here's some guy just sent $150 million through the Bitcoin network for 5 cents. And so that blew my mind. I was like, man, this technology is going to revolutionize the financial world. It's going to change Wall Street. I mean, all the hedge funds and all the mutual funds and all the retirement funds and all the pension funds that hold, gazillions of dollars. I mean, if they can make a trade and settle their transactions within less than 10 minutes, look at how much money they can work with, instead of waiting for weeks and weeks for their money to clear before they can have access to it again. So that was the reason why I put nearly all my life savings into it, So when you put 10% of your portfolio back into Bitcoin back then, Mark, right?
Yes.
Were you looking at Bitcoin as taking over the world, like destroying the fiat? What was crossing your mind that made you take 10% of your portfolio and put it in there?
Yeah, just that. I'm having an echo. Does it sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good. Let me mute my microphone.
Okay. So I thought it was a great story. Just the story of Bitcoin was a great story. Yeah, I mean, just a new kind of money, private money. The government cannot inflate it, and you can also have private payments online, because at the time people thought Bitcoin was a private payment system, and so it was a great story. But if it would technically be true, that I didn't know, I couldn't really judge. But the story was great, and I thought, okay, it was worth 100 million then, Bitcoin. I thought, okay, the story is so good that it's quite likely it's gonna go to 100 million times 10 is like 1 billion. That's certainly possible, just based on the story. And if then the government start clamping down on it and arrest some programmers, the game is over. But it's still a tenfolding. And if I'm smart to sell after a tenfolding a serious piece, I will have made money, quite sure. So that was my estimation, but still I perceive it as a very, very high risk. But my big mistake there was to put only 10% in, because looking back on it, that was wrong. Because at the same time, I was deciding to invest 40% of my portfolio in gold, because I believed that would go up a lot. And I was totally wrong there, because it just continued to go down. And then the other 50% was just diversified portfolio and bonds and all that. But if you look, the risk reward of these different investments, I knew that gold, the risk reward was not as good at all for gold, even though it was a much safer investment. It was not like as good a risk reward than the Bitcoin, but still I chose to do only a smaller part into Bitcoin. That was a big mistake. I should have reversed that, you know.
Because so I know that, you know, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and I know you're not a licensed financial advisor also. But let's just say if you were to start today in Bitcoin, right? So for the new viewers, you know, so they can get like an insight into your experience in crypto investing. Like how much of your portfolio would you put into Bitcoin or into crypto, period, right? And how would you diversify that? Like, would you put like 10% to Bitcoin, 10% to Ethereum, or would you only put like 50%, 40% of your entire portfolio into cryptocurrencies and then split those up among 10 or 20? Or what's your thought process now if you were starting out new today and you had no Bitcoin, no crypto? How would you start today?
Yeah, I think I would do about the same than the portfolio I'm having, which is about invest half in crypto and the other half weight, and half in crypto. And I chose basically right now it's like it's a very big position I have in Bitcoin Cash and a very big one in Byteball. So I only have like 2 projects, and then I have a smaller project Bismuth, but very, very small position. So and also in some ICOs, I have very small positions, but basically I only have 2 positions, and that's Bitcoin Cash and Byteball. So, but I think that the mistake in this portfolio is that actually, I think the right way to invest is to take a certain position, not too big, because it certainly can fail, all these projects. But take a position and then hodl for life, unless you think the project is starting to go in the wrong direction. Of course, you need to sell them. But as long as you think the project is led well and has the traction that you expect, just hodl and don't like trade it. That's like one of the second biggest mistake I've made, is like trying to lock in profits and then reinvest these profits later, and trying to buy in cheaper. Like that's the second biggest mistake. So I think it's very important, like I like to take a position not too big, because it just can fail, but then let it grow very, very, very big in your portfolio. That's okay. If you have a very successful investment, then it will, if it starts at 10 or 20 or 90 or 99% of your portfolio, if it's extremely successful. But that's not a problem. That's okay. And before, I would say no, sell a big piece now, because the project can start to go wrong in the future. Yeah, but that way I've lost a lot of opportunity.
So okay, there's going to be some people, you know, you know, right now there's a civil war going on in Bitcoin, and we got people from the you know, the Bitcoin or the Bitcoin Core side, and then we got people from the Bitcoin Cash side, right? Now, if you're listening to this, I'm neutral. Like, I'm a trader, I'm an investor. I just go where I think that there's a potential to make money. I really don't care which one succeeds, you know. There's a lack of governance, or the lack of final resolution and decision making you know, process to upgrade the Bitcoin software, which last year around August 1st in 2017, you know, they split into 2 versions of Bitcoin. One that, you know, some of the community members call Bitcoin Core, and then some of the community members referred to as Bitcoin Cash. Now, you just mentioned, and I want my viewers to get your thoughts on this, right? Why? I noticed that you said that you have 2 major positions, and one is Byteball and one is Bitcoin Cash, right? Before we get into Byteball, let's talk about the Bitcoin Cash position, right? what is prompting you to put like be heavy into Bitcoin Cash? Because for me and our team, we're neutral, so we have pretty much equal positions, fairly equal positions of both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. But you're specifically saying that the bulk of my coins are in Bitcoin Cash. Can you talk about that? You know?
Yes, yes. For me, I've been talking a long time about the problems in Bitcoin before it showed already in for years. But in 2017, at the start of the year, I said, okay, that's it for me. Like they're not increasing the block size, so very likely transaction fees will start to go up a lot. And I think that's really not okay. It will really be very bad for Bitcoin. I mean, I always have thought, we shared the opinion like that many people have thought, no, Bitcoin is the one and only, and the others have no chance of making it. And there was a lot of truth in that. The network effect was very strong of Bitcoin, and the marketing, the branding, the recognizability. Very hard for other coins to compete with Bitcoin, but still, I was convinced Bitcoin would not be the one and only, because competition is just part of a free market. You're always going to have other parties that find a niche, and it's just there is no market existing where one takes the whole market. Even in markets like with Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola will only have 50%. The other rest goes to other players. So. Or in social networking like Facebook, immense networking effect, and still they don't have the whole market, and actually are losing the market, Facebook, to competitors. So that's just not a true story. But then, so I was already investing heavily in other coins, but still also in Bitcoin. But then when I realized like this, they're really gonna let this happen and gonna let the transaction fees explode. Like then for me, I was finished. I sold all my Bitcoin for altcoins. And early 2017 made videos about it, and indeed total collapse. Bitcoin, it was at that time 85% of the market. It dropped straight to, what was it, 40%, then it went back to 60%, and now we're still back at 40% market share after 1 year and a half. So that was a disaster, and these are just facts. This is not speculation about the future. This is what happened already. So I think for the future, something like Bitcoin Cash, it's not as great an investment, I think, as Bitcoin was at the time, because you need less courage today to invest in Bitcoin Cash than to invest in Bitcoin at the time. Was much more risky. Like when I invested in Bitcoin in 2012, I didn't dare to share that on my investment channel. I didn't dare to share because I was afraid to be put in prison if there would be a clampdown on Bitcoin. So I only started sharing in the middle of 2013, after it first went up from $10 to 255, collapse of 50 was around 100. Then I said, okay, I made money here and I'm going to start sharing this with other people. But also the legal climate had changed in that half year quite well, and there had started to be some authorities talk about Bitcoin and basically giving it legitimacy and less fear to be imprisoned. But today with Bitcoin Cash, what's very similar is that it's a taboo topic, and you get a lot of hostility in certain regions to even mention the name or to be supportive of it. And that's quite similar to what Bitcoin at the time. If you would share it with people that invest in Bitcoin, you would be ridiculed, laughed at, and not taken seriously. And it's quite similar with Bitcoin Cash, but not so much because they have a strong support group of Bitcoin Cash, but it's still very niche, I think. And for me, an investment like Bitcoin Cash is very similar to investing in a company that's making great profits and has strong growth. I guess an easy investment because the stock will go up a lot in value. It's inevitable. As long as it has much profits and some strong growth, this will just go up in value. It's the same with cryptocurrencies. If there's a coin that has a lot of growth in amount of transactions, well, then that will rise. And Bitcoin Cash is doing exactly that. Since inception, in August last year, the amount of transactions goes up much, much faster than with Bitcoin. And with Bitcoin, it's actually very, very negative what's happening there with the amount of transactions. It's collapsing, and it's now at a low of 2-3 years ago, the amount of transactions in Bitcoin.
Okay, so Okay,
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
so I hold Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash, right? So I have to be neutral about this and ask like your decision to put all your money right now into Bitcoin Cash, which I would not personally do. I would split it up between the two, right? But is your decision based on philosophy of Bitcoin Cash, or is it based on you see more profit potential in Bitcoin Cash or more growth potential in Bitcoin Cash? Well, can you make that very clear? Are you making that decision because you're putting your money where your mouth is at, but so that our viewers clearly understand, are you putting it on there because it has better marketing, better technology? What is the reason for you to put, before you had all your money in Bitcoin Core and now you're switching it to Bitcoin Cash, right? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a combination. These two things go hand in hand for me. The philosophy behind Bitcoin Cash is more anarcho-capitalistic, and so I'm totally in line with that. I'm also a voluntarist, and so I believe the free market is what creates wealth for people. And so when it comes to these cryptocurrencies, the philosophy. That everybody should be able to send a transaction without any censorship is extremely important. That's really the quality of a cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin really offered that, and still offers that today. But the transaction fees are not reliable. Sometimes they go up a lot, and that's not a good business model.
Okay, so but I want to jump in because I want our viewers. I don't want our viewers to not understand this clearly. When you said that there's censorship on Bitcoin Core, right? I still make Bitcoin Core transactions, and yeah, I might agree that the fees are higher and it's cost prohibitive for somebody that has a smaller amount of Bitcoin Core, but I would not necessarily say that it's censored, that the transactions are being censored. Because if I send a Bitcoin Core transaction to you right now, there's nobody censoring it. If I agree to pay whatever the transaction fee is, right? It's going to get to you. Now, how long it takes to get to you, I'm not, 100% certain, like I was in 2013. How much the transaction cost is going to be. I'm not, 100% certain on that until I make it. But to say that it's censorship, that like the transactions are being censored, I don't think is 100% accurate.
No,
transactions are cost prohibitive, because the reason why I'm clearing this up is because I don't want my viewers to think that I'm siding one way or the other. I'm just neutral about it, So,
yeah, I agree with you. That's also what I said. That it is not censored transactions on Bitcoin, also not. So that's very, very positive. Bitcoin still offers that. It's just indeed that the fees sometimes are higher. But I do. I'm very, very like when the censoring started on the in the Bitcoin community around the Bitcoin Cash topic, or in the beginning it was around the topic of increasing the block size. This was censored. This topic, and that was the start of the wrong direction. And it's true. It's what Roger Ver says. Like you cannot trust people in control of a cryptocurrency if they support censorship in the discussion forums. Well, they also support later on, very likely, censorship in the currency, in the transaction. And that's a higher risk.
Yeah, no, I want to put this in perspective so that our viewers, understand this, okay? Because you and I, we know how cheap it was to make Bitcoin transactions back when you and I started, right? That $150 million transaction that I shared with you and our viewers earlier that cost 5 cents to make that transaction. I remember back when Leon and I was practicing sending the Bitcoins back and forth, the transaction fees were less than a penny. And you remember that too, because I know if you were in 2013 to 2014, you know that the transaction fees were less than a penny for almost every transaction. Like you had to send a shitload of money in order for it to be 1 penny or 2 pennies, right? I'm looking at bitcoinfees.info right now, and it's saying that the next block to have your next transaction mined in the next 10 minutes would be about 27 cents. So that's, a magnitude significantly higher transaction costs than imaginable. You know, back when at the end in December of 2017, we had to make, you know, pay our vendors and pay clients and customers and things like that. And there were times when our transaction fees were like $103, you know, and there was times
Yes.
when Leon, my business partner, made a transaction and we were all freaking out because it took like, I think it took like close to a week to confirm the transaction, you know,
Yeah.
and we're sitting here wondering like, you know, what, you know, and it was a large sum of Bitcoins that we sent too, you know, and so but I just want to put things in perspective of how much the transaction fees were. Most of the transaction fees that everybody did back in 2013, when you and I got into it, you know, was less than, I mean, it was less than 100 satoshis. It was less than a penny. I don't remember too many transactions that cost more than a penny. So, okay.
Yeah.
So you said that the first mistake, back to your mistakes, right? You said the first one was you didn't put enough of your portfolio into Bitcoin. You only put 10%. You wish you could have put like 40% in. Second mistake you made, you said, was that you, excuse me. The second mistake you made was that you did too much short-term active trading, and you would have reduced the amount of active short-term trading that you did, and you would hodl with a strong hand much more. Okay. So
Yes.
What would you say that the third biggest mistake that you made was that cost you a lot of money?
The third biggest mistake. Well, if I would have done these two, I would have been a lot richer.
Now we have people. Just so to be fair, right? Just to be fair, we have people in the comment section saying that you're putting all your money into Bitcoin Cash is your next biggest mistake.
Yeah. How can I see the comments?
Yeah, it's on the public YouTube video. So, but I'll point it out to you. You know, one of the guys, Carlo Pascoli, he says that Bcash is your next big investment mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible, of course.
Yeah, you know, anything is possible in crypto land, right? It's not going to be my next biggest mistake because I got, you know, equal portions in each one, or close to equal portions in each one, because I personally don't know which one is going to succeed. You know.
Yeah. I think oh, my third biggest mistake is to be too focused on certain projects. Like that was my real, like financially, that was a real big mistake. I had the opportunity to invest in the Ethereum ICO. I said no. Then it was going up to it starts trading and it's worth like I think it was 20 million US dollars invested in the ICO or 30 million. I said like, wow, that's way too expensive. That's crazy. It's a bad investment. Then it starts trading. It's like traded at 50 million. I said no, and I continued to say no all the way up. So I never bought Ethereum. But it's also the case with many other ICOs. I had the chance to invest in the IOTA ICO, and I was really considering to invest like a big amount in IOTA and also in Ethereum, and I said no. And these things would have been like like the amount of returns I would have made is crazy. So too close to the mind.
Okay, so let's just zoom in on that third big mistake that you made. You said that you passed up. You know, you did not participate in multiple big ICOs, and so that for our viewers to know, the ICOs that you just mentioned, like Ethereum, that went over 5,000x. You know, IOTA, several thousand x. A bunch of other ones, right? The ones that you're talking about, right? But I'm curious, what were you thinking at that time, and how should you have been thinking? Because you got into the NXT, right? You got into the NXT early on. I got into the NXT. That's how we met online. That's how we became friends, right? But what were you thinking that prevented you, and what is your word of caution to our viewers today so that they don't make those same mistakes?
Yeah, what prevented me was just being critical. I was critical about certain aspects of the project, and I didn't believe. Therefore, because of, for example, with IOTA, that was the leadership. I didn't believe they would be like do a good job, and also the concept. I wasn't too attracted to create a cryptocurrency for devices instead of people. So certain things I didn't like about it, and that's why I decided not to invest in. But yeah, financially, that was really a very, very, very bad decision. for Ethereum was the same. Ethereum, I thought it's just castles in the sky, a lot of stories, but no software. So that's why I said, okay, no, I don't invest in this, but I will invest more in NXT, and I will invest in Clumps, which was an operational project. But that was really wrong. And so the biggest mistake that I made there was, for example, to choose Clumps instead of Ethereum. Looking back on it now, it's ridiculous. But that's what I actually did.
You invested in clams.
Yeah. So yeah.
But hold on, man. I don't understand this. I don't understand this, right? Okay, I'm hearing I'm hearing hypocrisy here. I'm hearing hypocrisy here. Okay, and I want you to clear this up because the gentleman the founder of IOTA his name is Come From Beyond. His handle, his nickname is Come From Beyond, and he is the one that's is part of building the NXT crypto project. And at that time, you and I were investing into the NXT. We were like the early investors. Matter of fact, we were the first people to even talk about NXT on the internet, right? Mm-hmm. And we talked about it, and we invested into NXT. And Come From Beyond was one of the main guys doing the coding and development for NXT. So why did you invest into him building NXT, but not when he was building IOTA?
Well, because I had more experience with him. I invested in NXT not because of him, but because of the results. The software was great. NXT software looked amazing, very original. The architecture behind it was and made a lot of sense. 100% proof of stake, and all the features that were available already functioning. And then I discovered the lead developer Come From Beyond. I started following the project intensively, and basically he left via the back door. So he said that I'm gonna start a side project here, but I'll be back. But he never came back, and that side project was IOTA. And he also started to sell all his coins of NXT, and started openly saying that he doesn't believe in NXT anymore. For me, what that was an improvement in blockchain technology, and for me that was, I thought that was really.
You felt that was a betrayal. You felt like that was a betrayal.
I thought that was a betrayal in the sense that, like, I invest in the software, but then you get to know the lead devs and the people behind it, and I was expecting, and when I put my money, it's like if you invest in a company. You hope that they will just turn the company around in another direction if they believe the direction is different, and not say, oh, I'm going to do another project, but I'll be back, and then it turns out that basically he starts talking crap about the project and starts building something very different, and just leaves the project in the hands of, he gives it to someone else that later proves to be not such a genius as he was. Jean-Luc then, that took over NXT, and Ricker, and some other people. Like, I really think that was not the right way to leave a project. And for me to invest in a new project of him, I couldn't trust that he would do the same.
That's totally understandable. That's completely understandable. And that was the reason why I did not invest into IOTA also, because you know that at that time, myself and the other founder of IOTA, David Sustaban, we were in the middle of setting up the NXT Foundation to help promote NXT, and he branched off on his own to go do some stuff. So we didn't part as enemies or anything like that, But just that departure, I felt like, hey, we were sitting over here working on this, and he branches off because of a disagreement he had with other people. But he didn't have a disagreement with me, but he had a disagreement with other people on how the NXT Foundation should have been built and created, and him and Max Kordek, the founder of Lisk, they both branched off and started their own projects, which more power to them, right? Because they got very successful billion-dollar projects today, and I don't, you don't, right? So that's a great for them, But a lot of times, I did not get into it for the similar reasons that you had. So what would be the thinking now if you look into new projects now, so that to our viewers, what would you say to our viewers right now so they don't make the same mistake that you did? You know, as far as the betrayal goes, I don't think that, or the you know, leaving on bad terms like that. I don't think that I would invest into a project today either if I found out that something like that were to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you, and actually, yeah, I say financially that was a really bad move. That's true, but for my mind, it was not, because I did feel some pain and a missed opportunity at one point. Never for Ethereum actually, because I never saw it. So I never considered. Well, I felt some missed opportunity pain that I did feel, but at the same time, I could never have like lived with being invested in IOTA. Like the way that project is led is really not fitting with me. Like the way David treats people, that's not possible for me. So even if I would invest in IOTA, I would have sold much sooner and be happy with it 10x and be gone with it. Like I really didn't believe in so many things that they were doing. And okay, today this project is very successful, but it was just not a good fit for me. So actually, for my happiness, it was the right choice. It still is today. Financially, I could say, yeah, if I would have invested and hodled, I would have been much richer. That's true, but I made many other investments. Some of them were good, very good. Others not so good, but overall, financially, very, very good. I'm very happy. Huh? And happiness is not directly related to bank accounts like with partners. Like I mean, yeah, it's not because you have the most hot chick that you're the happiest man. It's the same with having the most successful investment that is.
Okay, so let's take a few questions from the audience here. Okay, let's just pause for a moment before we go further, and let's take a few questions here. Okay, if you guys have some questions for Marc Mesel, you know, veteran crypto investor, put it in the comment section here, right? So we got let me see.
Can I answer one question of yours that I'd like to summarize quickly? Like, I think the best investment advice, just there are two possible investment strategies. I think Roger Ver, his strategy, like believing in one project and going full in and putting all your energy not in buying or selling coins, because you just decide to put all your money into it. So there's no decision to be made there anymore about buying or selling coins, because everything is invested and you just plan to keep it and then focus on building out the project. I think that's has proven to be the most successful strategy, but I think it's the one criticism to that strategy is very high risk, because if that project fails, well, it's going to be a big suffering for you, and that's always possible with every project. Another possible strategy that I think makes a lot of sense is to invest in several projects, like 10 or at least 10, and maybe it's a little bit more, and buy that position and then keep it forever. Follow up these projects. Only sell, not because the price is relatively high or relatively low, but only sell when you really think the direction of the project is going wrong, which, well, can happen, but usually actually the best approach there is to be very, very careful and just buy and hold, and some of projects will go to zero or become nothing, and then still you can hold it. Some projects become extremely successful, and then the smart thing to do there is to just keep it. Huh?
Yeah, our philosophy is that there's two philosophies of investing or trading. One is what we call, you know, push all your chips in. So this is a symbol, you know, for when somebody's at the casino and they push all their chips in, right? And that's, in America, we call that backing up the truck. You know, so back in 2013, you know, I backed up the truck on Bitcoin. You know, I backed it up. It's like, you know, the forklift notice, it goes, dur, 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 dur. You know, I backed it up and I loaded up on it. You know, it's like I was like a dump truck loading up on Bitcoin back then. Okay. Now, keep in mind, guys, I keep saying that I put, you know, nearly all my life savings into Bitcoin. You know, I want you guys to remember two things. Okay. It's not like it was millions of dollars or something. Okay. It was just a small amount of money that I had, but that was all the savings I had, right? So it doesn't matter if it was $1 million or if it was 10,000. The fact that I put, you know, nearly all my life savings into it and had no money left in savings, it just shows that the risk that I was willing to take. The second thing is I would never put all my life savings into Bitcoin today because it's not the same Bitcoin that I put all my life savings into back in 2013. I just want to make that clear so that people don't run out there and say, oh, you know, Ty said that he put all his life savings in, so I'm going to back up the truck and push all my chips in also and do the same thing, okay? But so I just wanted to make that clear, okay? So we have a few questions here for you, okay? And I'm just going to run through it. Andreas Ann asks, what do you guys think about the SEC and regulations after ICOs?
Yeah, that's a pity, of course.
Okay. I mean, if you want to pass the question, we can go to the next question, you know?
With this, like, it's a pity that in cryptocurrency world, more investors are enjoying with mainstream ideas, and so we need regulation. Yeah, a pity to see, and cryptocurrency actually the success is because without needing without having to have a certain amount of money and fill in payable disappear. Huh? If you have regulations, you also have done other innovation next to cryptocurrency. ICOs, you can to go to a burden of regulations to all investors. Well, this will all go away when you get ICO regulation. So people can ask for these things to protect themselves, but what they actually do protect some bureaucrats and also make it just harder for people that need money to find it and people that want to invest to do it.
Okay, okay. Avenue OC said, what the fuck were you thinking, clams? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's a good one. I know. That was a big mistake.
You know what? I'm gonna have to agree with him. You know, like what the fuck, clams?
I agree. I agree.
Clams. Okay.
I agree. Go ahead.
Okay.
Look, I can explain the reasoning. Like it's interesting because like I was successful investing in Bitcoin and very unsuccessful investing in clams, for example. But sometimes that's just how it goes. It's just how it goes. Like it's the same with the love relationships. You go for it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes that. But it's always easy to say later on. Oh, hey, that would clearly be a winner, or that would clearly be a loser. But that's not true. So the only thing you can do is like you can go back to your why did I decide it and what was wrong, what was wrong here in my decision was I was looking too little to vision and too much to what's there. Like clams, in contrast to Ethereum, for example, was an operational project that had real traction. There were gambling websites that.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's true.
You saw those
what?
You saw those interviews that I did with Vitalik back in 2014. You saw those interviews I did with him, man. I told everybody to get into it. And then you saw that interview with me, Vitalik, and James D'Angelo. You saw that, man. Yeah. How could you pass that up over clams? What the hell are you thinking?
That's true. That's true. You did that very well. I just dismissed because there was no operational software and only stories. That was a big mistake that I'll certainly not do anymore. Like the vision does matter a lot, and also networking behind the scenes. I also did not see that because I did not go to conferences like you. Yeah. And you really had a much better, you saw that something was happening there. I didn't see it because I was not in touch with the market, and I was not really, I wanted to see, I didn't believe in a vision, and that was wrong. Huh?
Well, it was not the vision that we invested into, it was the talent that we invested into. Because when we went to the Texas Bitcoin conference in 2014 in April, and we interviewed him, you guys can go and watch, just Google, search for Ty Zen and Vitalik Buterin on YouTube, and you'll see it. And we were there interviewing him, and we watched how he was interacting and the presentation he gave. And then, LeonFu.com, the Honorable Grandmaster, Oracle of Crypto, who's on our team, he's a high-level software engineer. And when he was talking to Vitalik, I was saying, like, damn, I've never met somebody that would stump Leon. That's like, take a shot at trying to stump him in software engineering. And And I haven't personally seen anyone do that. And then when I saw Vitalik, was running circles around him, I was like, holy shit. When we walked away from that interview, I told Leon, I said, hey man, I don't know what the fuck he's building, but we got to invest into whatever it is he's building. Whatever this Ethereum, Ether, I thought that was like the stupidest name ever, Ether, let's make it harder so it confuses the shit out of people, And I said, whatever the fuck this Ether bullshit is, we need to invest into it, man. Because if he's got you wondering, and trying to figure out what he's doing is, and all the other software engineers that were there, it's not just an isolated incident, man. This guy's got talent. We need to invest into him. And by the way, my wife wants to name our third child Ether, if it's a boy, So
why?
So she likes it, and that was the quote unquote crypto that was the game changer, that was life changing for us, So
and congratulations on that, man. Seriously.
Yeah, Ken Bosak reminds everyone, man, to pound that like button, man. Smash that like button, pound that like button, man. If you like what Marc is sharing with you guys, the mistakes that he's sharing with you guys, so you guys don't make the mistakes again, There's an old saying in China, somebody said it in China, Confucius, Bruce Lee, or it could even be Abraham Lincoln or Napoleon that said it, but a wise man, a smart man learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from another person's mistakes. So if you guys became wiser today learning from Marc's mistakes, make sure you pound that like button, okay?
Yeah.
By Gratfolio, he asked, hi, what are you and the Oracle of Crypto worth now, $100 million? We're working on it. What does he expect me to say? Yes? No? What is the appropriate answer to that, man?
Yeah, it's none of your business.
Well, it's go look at all our videos for the last 5 years and look at the videos where we got into the Ethereum ICO, the Lisk ICO, the Waves ICO, the Stratus ICO, the Neo ICO, all those went up thousands of percent. So you guesstimate the math, okay? All right. Yeah. So let me see, what other questions do we have for you here? Okay, hey, while I'm pulling up these questions, right, I want you to share with the audience 3 things, if they're new. The people that are new to crypto today, what are 3 things that they need to do today immediately? Like immediately. The minute they finish watching this video of you, what do they need to go do? Do they need to go buy their first Bitcoin, $10 worth of Bitcoin? Do they need to go buy their first $10 worth of Ethereum? What do they need to do today? Right?
Yes, I agree with you, Ty. Of course, they need to start.
Obviously, you and I started broadcasting 5 years ago so that we can help people because we both felt that cryptocurrency was a game-changing, life-changing for everyone, right? And so what would you like our viewers to do immediately after they watch this video from you? What action should they take for the new people that just got into crypto yesterday? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. Like 400 billion is a very low amount still. So crypto has a very high chance to go to 4 trillion, 40 trillion over the next few 5 to 10 years, 10 to 20 years. So the probability is very high, going to go up a lot. So it's a good thing to just get started. And with your first coins, so I think that's a good idea. I also think we differ in opinion there. Like I think the odds are high that this bear market will take considerably longer and go deeper, but not that much deeper. But I do think it's wise to scale in, because the bear market, just like the bull market goes much higher than people expect. But the bear markets in crypto can also go much deeper than people expect. And I've lost a lot of opportunity by just underestimating a bear market, and then I start buying too soon, and then at the bottom of the bear market I start to lose really hope, and I end up position at the bottom. Like these mistakes are what's now dangerous. Like if this bear market takes longer, goes deeper, you wanna and really like ideally like you buy in gradually and you buy your last big position at the bottom of the market. That's the perfect scenario that I'm gonna try to achieve again. And actually, I did it very well last time. I did go from an exposure of what was it, 20-30 crypto to 80% crypto. Last purchase was $100. So I did that very well. That's scaling in then. and I plan to do that that I will not do anymore. And so now my plan is to really time this very well. My favorite coins on the way down in this bear market and close to the bottom. And if I see it chasing away, do some panic buying to get rid of the remaining. But so
Okay.
that's my plan, and other people to do that too.
Okay. The next question we have is from the same guy. I don't know why he keeps asking questions about my money for when this video is about you and the lessons that, you know, investing lessons from you. I'm not sure why he keeps asking questions about me for, you know. He asked Ty, why are you living in a small house? Because that's my house. I mean, I live in a house with 4 bedrooms and I only use 1 bedroom. So I got 3 bedrooms that I don't use. And then I got 2 living rooms and 1 living room is not being used. You know, so I don't know how much bigger of a house I need. You know, I have a 2-car garage, and I don't even.
I think it's interesting to see that.
I don't know what the question that you're trying to ask is. Via Gratfolio. Make the question more clearly. Okay. So this is my BFF 86. He asked Mark, more of a stock market related question. Do you prefer investing in index-based ETFs? Or do you do your due diligence and try to pick the individual winners?
No, I have no time for that. So I am planning to buy a stock index emerging markets, but actually that's not my real plan. That's my fake plan to keep my fiat safe from the crypto markets destroying it. Yeah. My real plan is to when crypto does go into this terrible bear market that we've seen before, and then when everybody starts to say like this is total bullshit, and actually crypto it's gonna fail, and look at that scenario, when people really like the majority, because now the majority is still positive or mixed, but it's certainly not negative on the crypto market. When we have that, when the majority is really negative on the crypto market, well then I'm gonna just double up, and I have my buys ready on the exchanges that will be filled automatically. If, for example, Bitcoin Cash drops from 600 to 200, or no, it's 1,000. So when it comes, I'll be buying between 400 and 200, or like my buys are set. The same for some other coins. But when these get filled, then I will also take my fiat that I took out of the crypto markets and that is now ready on just normal real world exchanges to buy indexes. Well, I will just transfer it to crypto and put it and double up. And that's my system to really to really be very well positioned for the next bull market. And I'm really looking forward.
Okay, so for me personally, I keep all like nearly 100% of my my worth in crypto. So I don't put it in no stocks, no forex, no nothing. So that's just me though, you know. So and you know the reason why I'm doing that, you know, so my viewers understand, is that I'm here to make money. So if there's more potential for profit in crypto, then I'm going to put all my money in there versus in stocks. There's no way, in my opinion, right now, based on the current stock market conditions, that it's going to go up 5x or 10x or anything like that. I don't see how that can happen. Like, there's even the best case scenario, I don't see how that's going to go up. You know, that means that the Dow would have to go up to like 100,000 points or more or something like that. At this point, I just don't see how that's possible, right? You know, so that's why I keep all my money in crypto. And a lot of people say that, hey, it went up to $20,000 Bitcoins and it dropped back down to $6,000. Well, you know what? It started out the year at $1,000. And if it went to 20,000 and it pulls back to 6,000, I'm still happy with the 5X gains. I'm still happy with the 5X gains. So I'm not complaining about that at all, you know. So,
I'd like to say about, we also talked about, you mentioned that
hey, Marc, can you cut your video off? Because I think the audio is breaking up pretty bad. Can you cut your video off just so the audio is better?
It's done. So I think this is a very interesting. And 2 years ago, I said, like, for people that go all in, that's just not responsible. You never know what's going to happen with crypto. It's not a thing. But I'm changing my now. I have been changing my mind because actually crypto a lot, and the risk becomes a lot lower that this whole market will shut down. That the risk was very high. Now it's so it makes a lot of sense to, if you want to hedge against crypto failing, do that, yes, but the amount of money you take of your portfolio to do that can be, you can say that there is a 90% chance that crypto in the long term will succeed and only a 10% chance that it will fail. And actually that 10% is too high. I would say it's only 1% that it will fail in the long term. It's a very low amount. And so, of course, with the individual project, you cannot say that. There is actually a pretty high chance that famous projects will fail. So if you diversify over the crypto market, if you just buy an index in the crypto market, well, you will do likely very well. So the risk is from a risk perspective to invest most of your portfolio in the crypto market these days.
Just real quick, I forgot about that. Hey, Marc, you want to put your video back on? Hey, I just sorry about this, guys. I just got a text message from my wife here. I actually have to go pick up my son. I forgot today's his last day in school, and they have early release from school today. So here, this is what we'll do. Let's continue this conversation back on your channel, you know, and then later this week or next week or something.
Very good.
Right? Hey, sorry about that, guys. I forgot that I had to go pick up my my son from school today. Is his last day in kindergarten. So thanks for watching this, guys. If you guys like this video where, you know, Marc shares some of the mistakes and some of the lessons that he learned from crypto investing for nearly half a decade now, give us a thumbs up, smash that like button, right? And follow us at www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay. Thanks, Marc, for joining us. And sorry I had to run off. I forgot that there's early.
Not a problem. Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And also want to mention my YouTube channel because I have some very good videos on the bear market and what I think. Like I have short videos. You can find them easily. Why I think it will take how long and how deep it will go, I think can be very helpful for some of your viewers. And thanks so much, Ty, for the opportunity to speak to your audience. Thank you so much, and let's continue this on my channel at a later date.
I'll put your YouTube channel and your Twitter handle in the description here when I get back, and then I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys. And this will conclude the broadcast.